you got to understand when you're dealing with politics and you're dealing with somebody that's going to take over control. They the chief in command for the next 4 years. You got to have some concern. We've been getting beat up with Bloomberg for all of his policies. He just tried to pull a slick one the other day, talking about fingerprinting everybody in the public houses and all of that. So, we really have to really focus on who's going to take over. Who's the one? And that's why this is a very important thing, especially for New Yorkers alone.
It's really a sad thing that it's 2013 and people aren't talking more about liberty. Instead, they're being forced into having to vote in this paradigm of the left and right. And it's totally wrong because there are libertarians out there and there are anarchists out there and people that believe that we can rule ourselves. Of course, you can have laws, but you don't have to be governed. And people should be talking about that instead of having to vote for the lesser of two evils. And which is still leading up to the New World Order. I mean, it's a big deal. And it should be blasted every freaking day. People should be talking about it. And they're looking up in the sky and seeing those lines, and they're breathing that, or they're drinking the fluoridated water. Just, and you can do something about it. It's not hopeless, and people, they get lost in the politics and that. But I was able to get the fluoridation practice ended in this district where I live.
Right.
And so, you have my information online. If people want to know how to do it, they can contact me. They can get my information from you. So
hold that thought, Shay. We're going to take it to a break. We're going to pay the bills. We're going to come right back. Just keep it locked to 91.3 Party FM. You already know it's Pressure Point Radio. We right here on the line live with Shay Buck. We're going to be we're going to be moving along into the new topic. New Yorkers, you already know we got to November to make our minds up and to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Especially the people right here down, right community over here. We really need to wake up and start making our numbers count.
Was there before affected. I wonder what would happen if no one turned up at the polls.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
All right, we'll be right back after the short message. The number to the studio right now is 646-736-7479. Keep it locked at 91.3 Party FM, Pressure Point Radio. Definitely. Today we're talking about the Enemy Exploitation Act.
Enemy Expiration Act. Enemy Expiration Act.
Colorado Springs right now. Shay, you with us?
I'm here.
Shay, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. We want to get a little bit into this Enemy Exploitation Act, where they're saying that now they can strip Americans of their citizenship, and they haven't stated exactly what they're going to do with Americans that has been stripped of their citizenship. Also, this just to let everybody know, Barack Obama's right-hand man out of Connecticut was the one, Joe Lieberman, was actually one of those that brought about this bill to basically strip Americans of their citizenship.
Let's break down the definition more.
That is correct, but the wording of that bill is actually...
Just to say that stripping them of their citizenship, that's what it boils down to, but it has to be, it's commissioned a certain way. It's like having you lost in the system, basically. You're allied and you're an American citizen. If you're not an American citizen, then they'll have you basically taken back, like you'll be kicked out.
I mean, they've been doing deportations for years. What reason why we're talking about this, because this is a little bit different. Right, but they always deported people who don't have a citizenship here.
Right.
That's nothing new if you commit a crime or something like that. But the enemy...
If you happen to be an American, like a veteran or a Christian, or hold beliefs of liberty and question your government, then you could very well end up being indicted or kidnapped under the Expiration Act. And, it goes hand in hand with the NDAA, legal kidnapping. And they don't have to tell your family where you go. And there's no trial by jury. It's complete tyranny. It's it's ridiculous, and
Yes.
it's going to continue, and it's going to get worse. The stop and frisk, that was just the beta. People didn't want to stand up if it was, even if it was racist or whatever. But now everyone's going to end up facing it.
Exactly.
No, absolutely.
And
And you can see that happening with the overreach of the TSA. First they were at the airports, and they were doing the beta testing. Well, now they're out on the highways and at the bus stops and all these places, these public places, that your privacy should be private. You should be anonymous. And, it's slipping into the New World Order.
Okay.
and here's another thing I wanted to add to that.
It's become more lightened and more heightened that everyone is being watched, everyone is being studied, everybody is being tracked through cell
Absolutely.
phones, through computers. Every time you log on to your computer, log on to the internet, they are tracking you.
Yeah, but the thing is, people are so concerned and thinking this is new technology, and they've been tracking us for many, many, many years. And the reason that it's coming out now is they want it to.
Exactly.
And then the
It's
other
that
thing
fear
that,
factors, that fear porn, when you turn on the mainstream news, that's exactly what you're getting. Everything that they want to push out to make you depressed and make you feel hopeless and to make you feel like you have no power. That's exactly what they're doing. I mean, look at what this administration has already pulled. How are they not being held accountable for crimes, for war crimes? How are they not being held accountable? You have to wonder that. How many people are in on this? Seriously. It's staggering if you think about it.
This act right here, right, to deem Americans unfit to be here.
and there's another thing to that act, Brother Tempo. I kept trying to tell you, but I forgot that I turned my microphone off while we were on commercial break and forgot to turn it on. But what it also entails, okay, if Mercy and I and Shay get stripped of our American citizenship and no other country is going to take us, we're dead. Literally dead.
You're lost, basically.
No, they will actually impose the death penalty if we are considered enemy combatants.
Right, and let's talk about what is an enemy combatant. Anybody clear choose to take the stage on this one? What is an enemy combatant, Shay? So, as far as what they're...
You know what? Anyone at this point, anyone opposing the government or is a threat to the institution of the United States of America as a corporation.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen some things happen. We've seen some brazen terrorist acts take place, and then those acts weren't deemed. Those acts ended up not deemed being terrorist acts, but some form of domestic mass murder, like the Colorado Aurora Springs mass killing. In other words, that could be deemed a terrorist act, and in another country, that would have been a terrorist act.
Yeah, absolutely. In this country, it should be considered a terrorist act. The government against the freaking people, or the de facto.
But why do you think these acts weren't terrorist acts? Now I'm hearing news that the Boston bombers won't be. I'm hearing something of a sort that they won't.
No, it's going to be dealt with like
a domestic.
Most of these cases is going to be dealt with through traditional justice system.
It's impossible to speculate on a situation where you don't even have all of the answers and where the story is new and smooth. You don't even know what happens. I mean, you're getting 10 different stories from people, from officials,
Right.
Like, he was in the boat, and he was talking, he shot himself, and then he died. I mean, you can spend all day speculating. I mean, it is what it is. They're setting up the stage to take over America. I mean, all the way. They pretty much own it. The UN does. As soon as Obama, throws the election or gets out, he'll just step up to head the UN. He already is, and he's already signed over the United States to the UN. So there you have it. So that's what governors under him, I mean, still got the big dogs, what they're doing.
Right.
Today commemorates the 50th
march on Washington, by Dr. King, and a lot of people are saying that Dr. King himself would not be invited to speak there.
You know what? And the right, because he stood for liberty and he stood for human rights.
And what do we see going on here?
The exact opposite.
We are seeing a lot. I mean, look at
We're seeing a pivotal moment in world history, and the collapse of an empire, basically. If you don't believe me, turn on your tap, look up in the sky, and turn on the news. It's everywhere.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
there are a lot of strange things happening in just America alone. We're looking at labor unions that are actually turning against its own membership. We've talked about that. The presidents, the head honchos of the NAACP, turning against their own membership, which we've you missed this one. We had Dr. James Tucker on Pressure Point Radio to talk about that. So we're seeing a lot of strange happenings in America.
You're watching the states defending themselves against the de facto government.
Oh, absolutely.
In states with the anti-NDAA and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously happening, and that's what people need to band together. Seriously, I'm not talking about going in droves, but making your voices heard and contacting the right people and holding them accountable. I struggled with this fluoride issue for 8 months, and I stayed on their butts about it.
Explain.
And I went down to the town meetings, and that's what you have to do. You have to be in their faces. You have to. You have to hold them personally accountable.
Okay, Shay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know.
Yeah, Shay, go ahead and explain in depth what you're talking about with fluoride in the water. I don't know that there's anything like this happening in New York, but they do need to hear about that, and talk a little bit about the fracking as well.
Oh, geez. All right, well, the fluoride, what is it, I wish I had my facts right in front of me. About 94% of the United States is still fluoridated. I think there's around 246 cities that aren't, and on the 16th I was able to get the fluoride out of this city. And what fluoride is it's a metal runoff from aluminum factories and repackaged as healthy for your teeth. When in fact it causes dental fluorosis and poisoning over a period of time. And it causes early Alzheimer's and poisoned animals as well, the whole 9 yards. So it's bad to have it in your water source. And, it's the year 2013 and the proper information's out there. Science doesn't lie. Avoid the propaganda, look into it, and then do something about it. Hold the people accountable personally. You have to. No one else is going to do it for you.
Absolutely right.
To you guys before.
Absolutely right. And
they're working just as hard to make your life miserable. You need to step up your game and
that there is what Pressure Point Radio is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And and I know I'm jumping to different topics, but I think it falls hand in hand, because under the Enemy Expiration Act, if that bill becomes law, and just based on the things we're talking about, if the government doesn't like us...
The fracking is permanent terraforming of the United States. It's our geography as we know it. They're purposely making those waterways poison and those areas where people are going to have to move. There won't be people there. Same thing with the West Coast. You're going to see such a change in the United States, I guarantee, within the next 2 to 3 years with this fracking and everything going on. And then I want you to go and look at the UN map about how they have the people mostly in settlements on the East Coast and where the non-inhabitants are around the coast. Well, there's a means to an end. You've got the radiation on the West Coast.
Right.
You've got the sinkhole in Louisiana. And you've got the builds around.
Right.
I mean, they're forcibly terraforming the United States.
And now the point I'm trying to make is under the Enemy Expiration Act, the way it's worded,